Hey Stags fans, welcome back to another edition of From the Director's Chair. Hope you all had a very happy Memorial Day. Season is now over, but that doesn't mean that the athletics season is beyond us. As Athletics Director Paul Schlickman here with me, busy spring, but a very successful one. We had women's lacrosse take home a MAC championship. Softball got themselves to the final, had a long, arduous road, but they were able to win a few ball games in there. We had good performances by our rowing teams. Overall, summarize how the spring semester went.
I thought it was solid, honestly. You know, obviously highlighted by another championship, our 5th MAC championship, so very excited about that and proud of that. Credit our student athletes, coaches, and all our support staff. Anytime you win a championship, it's a credit to everybody who's involved and who supports those programs. It's the first time since 1999-2000 that we've accumulated that many MAC championships, so that's a great sign in terms of our overall competitiveness. We had a pretty good showing in the Commissioner's Cup standings, so very proud of that. And it was great to see our women's lacrosse team. They just kind of a great combination of young and old and how they progressed throughout the year and playing at a high level and playing for each other towards the end. So great showing by them. Softball, incredibly gutsy, gritty performance. Unfortunately losing their best pitcher, Destiny, right before the start of the playoffs. So that was a blow to them, but they came through and fought through to get to the final. So really proud of their performance. Was able to see some of that and also lacrosse, and also made it over to see some rowing as well. Great performances by our rowing men and women. Got some medals in the fours, and I thought it was overall very good. Very proud of our first year in the aggregate. Certainly I think bodes well for things to come for us competitively.
Yeah, you talk about that balance where 5 MAC championships and a number of runner-up appearances is the best finish in the Commissioner's Cup that Fairfield's had in a fair few years. That must make you pretty happy knowing now that after year one, nice base, and now it only can just go up from here.
Right, I think it's indicative of a lot of things we have in place. Yeah. I like to call it our infrastructure, and infrastructure to me is not just kind of the physicality, all these facilities that you see around us. Infrastructure to me means where we are with our support system and our coaches and our staff, and where we are with our scholarships, and where we are with the caliber of student athletes, most importantly, that we're recruiting to come and play here, and how we go about our business. So I think we have a very more than solid base from which to build. I got the sense of that coming into this position, and that has validated some of those notions. And now I think we still have a lot of work to do. We certainly can't rest on our laurels, and I think we're proud of that success, but I think to me and hopefully to our staff and our student athletes, it's just the indicative of a building block of what we can do moving forward. Like I said, I think our best days, or like I have said, I think our best days are ahead of us competitively in terms of what we can do in the conference.
Absolutely, and you also mentioned the fact that facilities continue to bloom as well. We're sitting here on the concourse at Rafferty Stadium overlooking brand new, improved baseball field that we've built together. And one of those big events that helps that is the Fairfield Stags golf outing. Big numbers were raised to continue to help the program. It was a great overall event, and I'm understanding you guys had some pretty good weather as well.
It was a phenomenal day. In a lot of aspects. There's no doubt it's a fundraiser. We were very successful in that regard. We don't quite have all the final numbers reconciled, but we generated more revenue than we ever have in terms of the sponsorships and the on-the-course game day activities, if you will. It's a very good sign of certainly those who organized it. Zach Dayton and Nick Wormley and all of our external staff and team who did a phenomenal job of enhancing what we're doing. We tried to do some different things and really make it a focal point for our entire department. And so great participation from everybody, amazing participation across a number of sports and alumni associated with those sports. That's indicative of the leadership we have institutionally and the place I think we carry institutionally as an athletics program. Is certainly Dr. Nemrick was present, but we had, I believe it was 6 current or former Board of Trustee members who were present. And to have them there and to have their support in a number of ways is really gratifying. Aside from all that, to me the best part was, and the feedback that I got as people were leaving and throughout the course of the day, frankly, was what a great day of unification and spirit it was, for opportunity for people to kind of get together and show their pride for Fairfield University and Stags Athletics. And that's what it's all about. So if we can continue to kind of engender that sense of pride and that spirit towards what we're doing, I think we'll continue to see that event grow, and I think it will also help us in the bigger picture, because it's what it's all about, is engaging our constituent, that's in particular our alumni, and we have some great alumni.
Absolutely, and you talk about that spirit as well. You know, when we have all these events kind of concluding the year, there's, obviously graduation that always caps the year off, but another big event that also caps the year off and really brings together the spirit of Fairfield Athletics is the athletics, awards night and events. Concluding the year, that one is always a big focal point where obviously you get to celebrate the year, but also celebrate some major award winners. And Tyler Nelson, Skylar Day were the two athletic main winners of the year. Tell us a little bit about that night.
Well, it was a great night. It was a fun night. Most importantly, I think I've been through a whole slew of those over the course of my career, and I think the most important thing to keep in mind for those is to make it about the student athletes and have it be fun for them and have it something that they look forward to and have a sense of ownership and pride about. You know, we tried to do some different things to kind of enhance their involvement and make it a show about them and the seniors in particular. So through our SAC group, we had them develop some of their own awards, which they had some fun with, and that were great to have them kind of self-chosen, self-voted amongst the student athletes. So that was great, and that was a nice addition, and just a fun night awarding them certain things. And you mentioned Skylar and Tyler. I mean, those are the two that stand out because they're the players of the year in their respective areas. But so many great things happened this year, and so many great accomplishments by this senior class, competitively, academically, and otherwise. I'm really proud of all they've accomplished. It's a great way to kind of send them off on a real positive note. It's really the last time we have to get them all together. So you try and make it meaningful and try and give them a good send-off and a good farewell.
Of course, and obviously as well with graduation, concluding the year, senior class. You know, we've always talked about how strong academically this Fairfield athletics community is. Combined GPA of 3.36, over 230 Dean's List honors. I mean, those are just things that truly have to make you very happy as the athletics director.
It's really impressive, and I think we've probably, rightfully so, we've probably mentioned the academic accomplishments of our athletes perhaps at some level each one of these sessions, and we should continue to highlight that because it is amazing what they accomplish. They are so talented and do such a great job in the classroom given all the time commitments and demands they have on them throughout the year, not just during their regular playing season, and what we also try and ask them to do to give back to the community. So for them to balance all that and perform at such a high level, it speaks to how talented they are, how intellectually committed and curious they are. I mean, the GPAs speak for themselves. I think the senior class had a GPA just below a 3.4, and a huge percentage of them, about 40%, are at a 3.5 or above. And aside from that, we just got the official stats on the APR releases where we had 7 teams performing within the top 10% of their respective programs nationally. Again, just a continued testament to, most importantly, the athletes and what they do, but also to our support staff. Our coaches foster that on a regular basis and believe in that and are mindful and prideful of that as well, and our academic center staff as well. So it's again, a team effort. It is a point of pride without question.
Well, now as we close the book on the 2017-2018 academic year, that doesn't mean obviously that we close the book on the athletics year, and that actually brings to our nice segue of our next edition of Ask Paul, where a chance you, the folks at home, have an opportunity to ask Paul anything that's on your mind, and all you have to do is go to fairfieldstags.com/askpaul. You can send in your questions there, and we have a few of them actually, and the first one actually is questioning about what's going to be coming up in the summer. You know, what type of projects could be on the horizon. Tell us a little bit about what people may expect to be hearing over the next few months.
It's always interesting to talk about that, and present company excluded. I think a lot of times you get the question from the slant of, well, you guys can kind of take a breath now, and it's almost the opposite of that. It is to some degree that is true because games conclude, competitive seasons conclude, and a lot of institutional events conclude. But at the same time, it is an opportunity to kind of begin immediately planning for the next year. So what does that entail? Well, there's still some year-end things to kind of close out by way of our budget process, by way of all our staff evaluations, which take place at the end of the year. So we'll go through a very substantive process with that to make sure we're kind of being introspective and about what we're doing and how we do it and how we can continue to improve. So we'll go through that process through the month of June. But we do have some projects, exciting projects on the horizon. We still have a lot of work to do with kind of upgrading some of our branding efforts in our various facilities. I would say kind of improvement projects kind of interspersed amongst several of our facilities that we'll work hard on to try and get to, so that as people come back, namely our student athletes for the summer, they can see that, wow, we're making progress and that things are moving in the right direction. And it's all about, again, something that I hear the buzzwords and the tagline in my head all the time. It's a function of who we are aspiring to be institutionally, and that's this concept of being premier and modern. And so everything we're doing, I'm trying to keep those in mind, along with keeping a focus on, what is best for our student athletes and how do we enhance their experience. And so those are the kind of things we try and be mindful of, continue to be mindful of as we continue to attack projects. So some of them are kind of necessary laundry list items or improvement items. Some of them are more strategic in nature as we look toward building, in the bigger picture, a strategic plan for where we want to go as a department.
Well, a couple other questions are brought in. You talk about experience with student athletes, a couple of fan experience questions.
Sure.
To facilities, if you will. One of those being the ever-present question of Alumni Hall. Is there any updates there? As well with the facility that we're at right now, Rafferty Stadium. Some people are asking perhaps maybe talk about the experience. It gets cold out here some days. Those metal benches get pretty chilly as well. Any looks of chair back seating. So we'll have that one first, and then if you wouldn't mind giving an update if there's any updates needed on Alumni Hall.
Sure. Well, it's certainly, we are so blessed, and obviously we're sitting here, you mentioned it earlier, by the great facilities that we have. So we're overlooking this amazing Rafferty Stadium facility, and I would say, having gone through now a lacrosse season and having kind of reacclimated myself to what's out there, I think we have one of the best around. So I think that's the thing to realize and start with. That being said, there's, as I have said, and as we're continuing to proceed, there's always room for improvement, and certainly we're open to, taking a look at what we need to move forward. The building stands have been originally constructed as kind of general admission, so to do that, we would, on a permanent basis, would involve some significant cost. There may be some things we could do to perhaps entertain that idea moving forward. So we're open to anything that kind of helps us improve the fan experience, and continues to make this one of the best places around to come watch a game for all of our fans. So it's been a year of assessment in virtually everything we do.
For sure.
And so that's why these questions trigger things that in some sense are on our radar screen. In some sense they're cause for contemplation, which is good. That's what it's all about.
And on the other side with Alumni Hall, there's askings about any renderings or any updates on that front. Is it still kind of status quo right now and looking into it?
I wouldn't say status quo. I think we're continuing to, behind the scenes, if you will, kind of make way through our what I'm calling our feasibility study to determine exactly in a very broad perspective the scope of the arena that we'd like to have, and that is there's a clear relationship to how much money we think we can raise to construct it. So that's a balancing act, and we're still in the process of delineating that. But I think we're moving forward. I think it would be too preliminary to say, yeah, we're ready, this is what it's going to be, or that would be premature to kind of display those. But I think when the timing is right, I think we'll certainly consider that.
And lastly, you talked about student experience before, and this actually comes from a current student, Matt Marshall. He was wondering about the men's lightweight 8+ ranked boat that was ranked inside the top 20, top 15 in the nation. How do we plan, or how do you plan for Fairfield Athletics as a whole to kind of build on that and promote not only that boat, but the rowing program as a whole? Sure,
no, I appreciate that question. First, kudos to both rowing programs, with the men's program in particular, based on the question, for what they accomplished this year. So that's a great milestone, and I know rowing is one of those programs that to some degree kind of toils in anonymity, because they're up before most of us are, and they're back, from where they train every day, and sometimes before we're all up, and they're having breakfast and hitting the road to go to class. But so they do a great job. They're very committed. They're very passionate about what they do. I was fortunate to see them firsthand a couple times this year at a race down in New Rochelle, and then I was able to get to the MAC championships on the women's side. So I saw firsthand just kind of which I hadn't seen in a long time. I haven't been at a program with rowing since I was at Yale quite a while ago. So it was great to see that firsthand again and just see what it entails, you know, in terms of them on the competitive side. To answer the question, it's part of a bigger picture for me. We want to try and put all of our programs in a position to be successful versus their competitors. So we're still in the process of kind of delineating what that means. And I mentioned a few moments ago the development of a strategic plan. Well, that's what that's about. It's about, you know, we want to be competitive in all our programs, but it's a matter of determining what is needed and what is necessary within the framework of their specific program to do that. We still have some work to do in that area, but that's one example, along with what we talked about at the outset in terms of our overall competitive success, that we're in a pretty good position. Now it's time to not take any of that for granted and take the next step, so that we're not satisfied, so that our expectations are still higher than that. Our expectations are still to win the Commissioner's Cup. We improved this year, we improved our standing, we improved the number of championships we won, but the expectations remain higher than that. And so we want to win it, and we want to be a premier program in the league, and we want to be a premier program in the region. And so everything that we are doing and that we will continue to do is going to be with those expectations and that objective in mind. For me, it's more a part of a bigger picture at this juncture in time.
Well, we certainly love trophies, and we want to fill up that cabinet.
Trophies are good. We like trophies, yeah.
Well, thanks, fans, for sending in those questions. Make sure to keep them coming. Again, fairfieldstags.com/askpaul. And that's going to do it for this edition of From the Director's Chair. Hope you all enjoy your early stages of the summer, and we'll see you very soon. Until then, go Stags.